Every day for over 77 years, UNCF, United Negro College Fund, has affirmed the essential value, importance, and impact of our nation's historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. For over 150 years, these institutions have labored to educate Black students and prepare them for meaningful careers, active citizenship, and leadership within and on behalf of the Black community and our nation overall. Since 2004, Dr. Michael L. Lomax has served as president and CEO of UNCF, the nation's largest private provider of scholarships and other educational support to African American students, and a leading advocate of college readiness. Students' need for an education from preschool through high school that prepares them for college success. Under his leadership, UNCF has raised more than $3 billion and helped more than 110,000 students earn college degrees and launch careers. Annually, UNCF's work enables 60,000 students to go to and through college with UNCF scholarships and attend its 37-member historically Black colleges and universities. Dr. Lomax oversees UNCF's 400 scholarship programs, which award 10,000 scholarships a year. Before joining UNCF, Dr. Lomax was president of Dillard University in New Orleans and a literature professor at UNCF member institutions, Morehouse and Spelman colleges. He founded the National Black Arts Festival and was a founding member of the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African American History and Culture, and was the first African American chairman of the Fulton County Commission here in Atlanta. Please welcome UNCF President and CEO, Dr. Michael L. Lomax.
Thank you. Good evening. Wow, you look great. It's wonderful to be here. So good evening, students, faculty, alumni. I am so pleased to join you here on the beautiful campus of Clark Atlanta University. One of you, give him a hand now. One of UNCF's 37 member institutions. Dr. George French, First Lady Dr. Bacon French, thank you for opening your doors to this fireside chat, hosted by UNCF and powered by State Farm. And really, I just want to say this, with the greatest president I have gotten to work with over the 18 years now that I've been at UNCF, for that whole time, Dr. French, because he was one of my presidents at Miles, and now he's my president here at CAU. Thank you, Dr. French. Also want to acknowledge all the students of Clark Atlanta University who are here this evening. Are they here? All the students of Morehouse College, are you here? Of Spelman College, are you here? Interdenominational Theological Center, are you here? Morris Brown College, are you here? All right. The city of Atlanta houses these institutions, and combined together, they make up the Atlanta University Center. Not only are we at our nation's largest consortium of historically Black colleges and universities, but this is also a home game for me, because I'm a graduate of Morehouse. I taught at Spelman. I took all my journalism classes at Clark Atlanta University. I lived on the Interdenominational Theological Center campus. And, I had to go over to Morris Brown all of the time. So, I feel like I'm back home. Thank you for welcoming me. Now it's time, however, to hear more about the man we all came here to see, Chris Paul.
Today, we will engage in a conversation with a man that brings attention to all three pillars of the UNCF strategy. Chris Paul, or CP3 as he is affectionately referred to, is an exemplary model of what a community leader is. As head of the Chris Paul Family Foundation, He has been instrumental in fundraising for organizations from Hurricane Katrina relief efforts to charities in the Winston-Salem area and more. From his initiatives to promote articles of HBCU clothing, paraphernalia, and shoe designs, to his investments in and support of Black businesses, Chris Paul's leadership is inspirational and his dedication is second to none. Having 11 All Star selections, 10 All NBA selections, 9 All Defense selections, 2006 Rookie of the Year honors, 2 Olympic gold medals, 4 times as assist leader, and 6 times as steals leader, Chris Paul has a legendary on court resume. He was the first player in history to accumulate 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. He ranks third and fifth in all time assists and steals, respectively. He has recently been named one of the 75 greatest NBA players in history, and just last year led the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals. Please welcome husband, father, brother, current NBA great, investor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and community leader, the point God, Chris Paul.
Voice, sometimes the voice is the
What's going on? All right.
How y'all doing? Yeah, that was a little much. That was a little too much introduction. I need to take that person with me everywhere I go.
Well, you know, we believe in treating guests right when they come to historically Black colleges and universities. There's no place like them in the nation. There's really no place like them in the world. They're nurturing, supportive environments. And so we're so happy to have you here this evening with us. And that introduction just began because there's going to be a whole lot more. You know, you have been so passionate about so many of the issues that I'm passionate about. And of course, that number one issue is historically Black colleges and universities. And this has been a really tough time recently, the last few days, actually the last month, for our HBCUs, not because of anything they've done, but because we've seen that there's still a hostile and destructive environment out there that doesn't believe in the work that these great institutions do. And maybe we don't know what's motivating specifically these threats to bomb our institutions. But, you know, that means that these young people who are here with us today, the thousands of students who are here trying to get the education that they've dreamed of, have really had a tough couple of years because this is the COVID generation of students, many of whom spent their first year virtually attending college. Many of them spent their senior year of high school virtually preparing for that transition to college. And then, you know, they got here, they got to have the first semester in person. Omicron came along and they've had to adjust, and they're a resilient group of young people. And now they're back on campus, and that's great and wonderful. You know, I think we talked about this backstage. I think this is their evening, Chris Paul. It's not my evening to spend talking to you. It's their evening to engage with one of the great athletes and leaders of our nation and our community. So I think I think that this should be their classroom, and that they should get the opportunity to drive this conversation with the issues that they're interested in. And I'm sure we're going to cover everything. What do you think?
That's cool with me. You can ask me whatever.
All right. So, although they're not moving. Nobody's standing up.
Yeah, I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what I know.
So what are we going to do? Who's going to come up here? Is somebody got a mic? And the only thing I would say, you know, I taught English, and so I do know what the difference between a question and a long statement. And so I do expect there to be a question mark at the end of these. But while they're queuing up let me just ask you, how have you reacted to these threats on our campuses? What have they made you think about?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, you know, because obviously you students now are facing things that none of us, faced as far as students, right? I'm a dad. I got a 12-year-old son, a 9-year-old daughter. And my son, my kids actually had a threat at their school recently, maybe like 2 weeks ago. And I actually live in Phoenix right now I live in Arizona while my family lives in California. So that's tough in itself, so on top of everything that you guys are already dealing with, I can't imagine, going to school or going to class or whatnot, having to deal with those threats. So that's unfortunate, especially at the different HBCUs. And, you try not to worry about it. You try to focus on school and class, and they say, control what you can control. But these are, crazy days that we living in, crazy times, and you never know what's going to happen or what to expect. But my thing would be, keep pressing, and that's about all you can do.
Yeah. Now I can ask more questions, and I'm going to do that. But it's open to you now. So I would like somebody who's got.
Go ahead back there in the back.
All right. So, but we got to have hand him a mic. Come on up.
Or I can hear you.
Well, but we're being streamed, so we got to do this in a way which is
going my bad,
technologically work. But I think people who want to ask questions, they should be lining up there. Now, here we go. Tell us who you are, what your classification is, and where you're from.
How you guys doing? My name is Miles Lewison. I'm a junior from Morehouse College. My question for you guys is, well, really, Chris Paul, how do you feel about the support, like not only just from yourself, from like the other players in the NBA, and do you feel like they're doing enough? And if not, what do you think you can do to make sure they do enough? So, like,
man, that's a really good question, and it's crazy because when we were in the bubble, even before we went to the bubble, you guys would be amazed with how many players, talk about HBCUs and try to figure out, how they can make an impact, how they can help, because a lot more guys are connected to HBCUs than not, right? And even those who aren't, right? Because if you know HBCUs, it's really like a East Coast thing, sort of North thing. It's not like a West Coast thing. It ain't none out West. And so, I'm the guy who in the locker room sometimes I'm pulling up videos of like what it looked like at A&T when somebody fouls out. You know what I mean? I'm just showing guys sort of like what the experience is like. So one of the things that I always try to tell the guys is, and women, whoever it may be, is that the support and awareness is key. It's huge. Wearing the paraphernalia, wearing the hoodies and tweeting and Instagramming and stuff like that. But money talks too, right? So the donations and the money that go a long way. And it's been cool to see how powerful our players are when we come together on something. If you guys saw last year, the NBA Allstar game, right? Donate money to the different HBCUs, and heck, our shirts this year, even for, this is Black History Month, to say HBCU on the back of the shooting shirts or whatnot. And then seeing that there's internships now where people with the MBA, have to get students from HBCUs. So it's a nonstop thing. And I think what'll be huge too is when you continue to get people in roles in these different organizations from HBCUs, so you know exactly what's needed, right? You don't know what you need unless you got the right people in the room communicating that. So it's definitely a work in progress.
Give that question a hand now. Come on, and that answer. Who's our next questioner?
Hi, my name is Alex Williams. I'm a second-year medical student at Morehouse School of Medicine.
Second-year medical student. Give her a hand. Go, Doc.
That's tough.
So, it's one thing to be a Black person and just like go HBCUs, but what's your driving force behind your love for HBCUs?
That's a really good question. My driving force is, I've been in the NBA now since I was like 19, 20 years old. So I done grew up basically as a professional athlete, right? And so I didn't get educated on a lot of stuff until I got older, right? What was your name, Nicole? My bad. What was your name? Alex, my bad. But Alex, I didn't get educated on a lot of this stuff until I got older. I was born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right? It was a famous coach named Big House Gaines, who was the basketball coach there. And I was a kid, and he used to be at my granddad's service station. I was at Winston-Salem State all the time. My parents went. They didn't finish, but they went to Winston-Salem State. And so it was just a school. It was a college, right? I didn't know that Wake Forest down the street was a PWI. I didn't know how much it cost to go to Wake Forest. I didn't know Wake Forest was a private school. I didn't know really what HBCU was. I just knew that when I went over to the Winston-Salem State game, I seen a bunch of people that looked like me, right? And so then as I started getting older and playing basketball, I was a diehard Carolina fan, like Tar Heels, right? I was a diehard Tar Heel fan because I loved Michael Jordan and all this stuff. And then my dream was to go to the NBA. And guess what it looked like at that age? At that age, it was like, okay, I need to go to Carolina. If I go to Carolina, I'm going to be on TV. And guess what? I'm going to be able to go to the NBA. That's what the path looked like to me. And it was crazy when I was in high school and I was getting recruited. Winston-Salem State didn't even recruit me, right? But I'm still a kid. I don't understand why Winston-Salem State's not recruiting me, but they didn't recruit me. And I think they didn't recruit me because they sort of knew that I wouldn't go there, right? And so then as I got older and I'm in the NBA, I started paying attention. I started asking questions. I started learning about all the funding that took place, right? Like even when I played at Wake Forest, I was happy to be on a full scholarship, but I didn't know how much money they was making off the games, right? But all this stuff started being new information, and we started finding out, and I started seeing you guys' generation and how powerful you guys are. And if, talent come together now and go to one of these HBCUs, imagine the money that they'll bring in, right? So I think that was something for me. Like I said, you don't know everything, but as you get older and you start paying attention, like y'all gonna see, like right now, y'all in college, some of y'all know what bills are, some of y'all don't. But as you get older, you start to learn things and you start to ask questions. And then thank God I was in a position where I could say, let me do something about it. Let me try to help as much as I can. So that was where my passion came from.
Thank you.
Yeah, she got a crown on.
Okay, we have one more question and then back to you, Dr. Lomax.
Hi, my name is Tanaya Bartley. I'm a junior at Clark Atlanta University. My question is simply, why do you believe in UNCF so much, and why is that the organization that you choose to support?
Man, that's a great question. First of all, I'm up here with Dr. Lomax. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
But I'm always trying to support organizations that are share common interests, common goals, that want to give back. And there's so many other organizations, but this organization, first and foremost, gave me this opportunity, right? To use my voice and to come out here and to talk to you guys and to give a little bit of my background and my experience, because I think a lot of times people do see the pictures on the gram or the Twitter or all these announcements. And sometimes, what I see under a lot of stuff, people be like, man, what the, well, let me watch my language. But they be like, he didn't even go to a HBCU, right? Like why, like he went to Wake Forest. Why is he doing what he's doing? So I'm grateful for UNCF for giving me the opportunity to come out here and talk about it. So you guys can ask questions and know why, and know that I'm actually a student right now, enrolled at Winston-Salem State University trying to get my degree. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't mind tutors at all. So if anybody want to help me out, please. Yeah.
Let me just add a couple of points on United Negro College Fund, because this March, UNCF will turn 78 years old.
Man.
So we've been around for 8 decades, and we were founded by Black college presidents. And each of the institutions that I named, who are our hosts this evening, were founding institutions of the United Negro College Fund. It was founded after World War II, when Black college presidents said they needed to raise more money because all of those folks who fought to preserve democracy that we didn't get the full benefit of during World War II would be coming back whether they fought in Europe, whether they fought in Asia, whether they worked on the front lines, building the material for the war, men and women. And there were women who were in the services as well. They would come back and they needed to get a great education to be able to thrive and compete in the economy that would open up after World War II. So they were called together by a guy named Frederick Douglass Patterson, who was the president of Tuskegee Institute. And Dr. Patterson said, we need to come together and create a United Negro College fundraising organization. And they enlisted John D. Rockefeller to raise, for that first campaign, they raised $750,000, which was the equivalent of $10 million in 1944. And we've raised $5 billion and helped over 500,000 students earn a college degree in those 78 years. Now, Chris, when we got started, it was mostly white philanthropists who were giving, although we have, over the years, had, John H. Johnson, the founder of Ebony and Johnson Publications, the founder of BET, Bob Johnson, great and powerful Black, and John H. Johnson's wife, who was a graduate of Talladega College in Alabama. So we've had strong support from Black business leaders, the Divine Nine, our fraternities and sororities, our churches have all helped. And now today, some of our strongest supporters look like us. Now we still expect everybody to give. Right. And I'm so excited that among our new generation of donors to UNCF are led by people who are in the public spotlight, like athletes, who believe that they have a responsibility and an opportunity to help. And that's why we love this man. He is doing such great things to tell our story and to get more support for us. So that's what the United Negro College Fund does. And that's why we need people like Chris Paul.
But something, Dr. Lomax, is the thing that's dope to me is the history, right? And I'm telling you, like, even just listening to you, I was sitting here, like, that's one thing I think about a lot of people, is that we got to know our history, right? We got to know our history and why we are the way we are and why things are the way that they are. And for me, when we were in the bubble and I was wearing all these different HBCUs, game in and game out, I think the part that was actually cool for me was learning, right? Was learning. Whereas I might post something after a game and all these people would be like, yo, rock this, wear this, or whatnot. Like, I'll tell you, in the process of that, I found out that my wife's parents went to Bluefield College, right? I didn't know about that HBCU, because truth be told, a lot of times people know about the Clark Atlantas, the Morehouses, the Howards, the Hampton, all those different type HBCUs. And for me, in the process of wearing these different schools, it gave me an opportunity to learn. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, knows about all the HBCUs here, Spelman, everything, so I think that's what was cool for me to learn.
Well, and the reality is that they know 4 or 5, but there are 100 institutions.
Yeah.
And there are over 250,000 students who attend historically Black colleges and universities today. And the number one obstacle for all of our students on completing their dream is financial. Yeah. And so, I believe there's space for more students, and we're going to do everything we can to help our institutions grow and grow larger. And we're going to continue to work hard to be able to help all of our students so that they're not so dependent on taking out college loans, and so that they can begin their careers without a lot of debt. And the other thing about our students is, and this is why we're such strong institutions, we help students who very often are the first in their families to have an opportunity to go to college. About 50% of our students are first in their family. We don't help the rich, we help the people who want to move into a higher income bracket, and they know that gaining a college degree is the surest way to move up economically. And so that we really focus on students who need to earn a college degree, because we know that they will be they may be the first, but they won't be the last person in their families to go to college. And a college degree from an HBCU is the surest opportunity to move up economically. There's a lot of talk in this country today about economic mobility. How do we get economic mobility? The institutions that are engines of economic mobility are historically Black people colleges, because they move people from where they begin, and often they begin in a lower economic, and they move up. And what do they do when they move up? They reach back and pull others with them. They pull family members, they will pull their communities. And so they're not just changing their lives, Chris. And so, you know, you have an HBCU ethic, and the way you talk about community, and the way you talk about, without maybe even knowing that Winston-Salem State was an HBCU, you already were telling the HBCU story by the way you were experiencing that institution.
Yes, sir.
Some questions for Mr. Chris Paul from our Facebook community.
Okay. I was filling because I didn't see anybody in line, and you should have said he got Facebook now. Okay.
Yes. Okay. They want to know, why is it important to invest in companies like Beyond Meat, Misha's Kind Food, Koya, Go Puff, Slutty Vegan, Goal Setter, and the Morehouse grads at Eastside Golf?
Yeah, we got a lot going on, huh? Man, first and foremost, shout out to Shaka in here. Shaka Zulu. Shaka went to Clark in here. Shaka been him and Luda been big brothers to me, man, since I stepped foot in the NBA, man. And Danae in here, Burston, who also went to Clark. I invested in Danae and his Juan Lafette. Pinky is Slutty Vegan. Oh, y'all know that, huh? Yeah, she's been amazing. One of my business advisors, a guy named Robbie Robinson, who actually went to Morehouse. You know, so I'm surrounded by all HBCU grads. But all those different things that I've invested in and that I'm a part of, like Goal Setter, it's about teaching financial literacy, right? Like that's one of the big things that I'm very passionate about, is financial literacy, because as college students, you guys know what debt is, you guys know tuition, all those different types of things. But even for me, as a professional athlete and being the president of the NBA Players Association, it's one thing that guys don't talk about, right? It's one thing that guys in the NBA don't talk about. And I don't know if like friends and homies talk about everything, right? Like everybody will talk about the last thing that was on Twitter, what's trending, what's on Instagram. But one thing people don't talk about is finances. It's real talk. Because a lot of times people embarrassed about it or whatnot, or don't want to learn about it. But that's one of the biggest things I think that hold people back in general is financial literacy, right? It's because everybody want to ball, right, and live outside their means. So Goal Setter is one of them. Beyond Meat is a thing that I invested in years ago because I started eating different. And one of those things goes back to education and food deserts and the things that's in the inner city and it's in the hood. A lot of times ain't nothing on the corner except for like liquor stores or fast food restaurants, right? Any of y'all know what plant-based is, right? So look, okay, all right then. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I'm 36. I didn't start eating different till I was 33. You know what I mean? And it literally changed my life. But ain't nobody tell me about that as a kid. When I first got to LA and the first time I heard about somebody not eating certain stuff, I looked at them like they was a fool. Like, what is you talking about? My grandma gonna be out here next week with these chitlins. You know what I mean? Like, real talk. Like, I ate chitlins, potato salad, turkey, rice and gravy, all that. That's it. Sweet tea. Oh, look at you. Yep, y'all don't act like you don't. And I'm not here to judge nobody by no means. You know what I'm saying? Eat what you want to, but I'm just saying it's the education aspect. When we actually start talking about these things and man, it's going a whole different direction. We start talking about like how like a lot of times as Black people, like especially men or whatnot, we scared to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? A lot of these different things we talk about finance, we talk about health and all this stuff. We need to find a way that we start really talking about this stuff and not just, you know, kicking it and not really saying how we feel. You know, so all these are different things that we try to invest in, try to communicate about. But I got kids. I got like I said, a son and a daughter who I want their life to be different, right? I want their normal to be different to what my normal was. I'm blessed to still have a mother and father who are together, right? My mom and my dad, they be with me more than they not with me, to tell you the truth. They was just out in Phoenix with me. My parents are always with me. And it's been crazy for me as the child to actually teach them things, right? Like it's crazy. Like my pops, he be telling me all the time about him and all his siblings, how they have to take blood pressure medicine day in and day out, right? And for me, I was just like, look, let's try this. Let's try to eat this a little bit different or whatnot, because selfishly, I want to keep my parents here as long as I can, right? So yeah, a lot of those different things that you heard are different investments and things that I'm constantly trying to learn more about and invest my time in.
Wow. I think I see another question on
Yes,
from
we have
Facebook.
another question from Facebook. They want to know, what is the Social Change Fund?
Oh, that's a good question. You got all the good questions, huh? So the Social Change Fund, right? Social Change Fund is a fund that was started by me, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony, right? And it goes back to us talking about, like, we all been homies for a long time, right? Got a group chat, we talk, we kick it during the summer, we be together all the time, but all of us sort of had different things going on, right? Like I have a basketball camp, I have a fundraiser, one of them have a foundation, something going on. And what we did was we came together, right? Because they always say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we started a social change fund where we came together and we actually got other athletes, other people, whoever wants to be a part of it. And so even though we all have our different passions, right? We have this fund, and if you donate to the fund, we all still can go out and do different things that we're passionate about, right? I can go and do things with HBCUs, whatever it may be. D-Wade can do different things, Mello. Anybody part of our fund can have a passion project or whatever it is, but what's dope about it is that we all support each other in whatever it is. So what we did was we started a fund that we, like we said, is bigger than any one of us. And it'll go on, I think, a long time after we are dead and gone. And so that was just the thing where we was like, man, we tired of doing everything separate. We want to start something together.
Yeah, another question. I know, go ahead.
Yes, one more question from Facebook. They want to, I'm sorry, two more questions.
Yeah.
What did you learn from Harvard Business School professor Anita Elburse's case studies class at North Carolina A&T's College of Business and Economics?
Yeah, so I don't know, Carl, what was that, 6 years ago? 6 years ago? 6 years ago during the summer, I'd actually had surgery. And then after surgery, I went to Harvard so that I could go to this business class, right? Like I stayed in a dorm and all this stuff. And so I was a student again. And I was taking this class and it was dope. It was like about business, sports, and entertainment. And we have these case studies, right? It would be this case study. One of our case studies was some about Jay-Z. One of them was about a 2K cover. And the class was dope because it taught us the inside information on what happens in like a deal, right? And a guy deciding if he wanted to do a 2K cover, and it was really active. And while I was sitting there in that class, I was like, man, is this class only offered here? Like, is this class offered at other schools or is it offered at HBCUs? And I found out, no, that's when I did my homework. And I was like, a lot of classes are only offered at these different PWIs because of the type of funding and the money that they get. Some of these big schools, you know, an alumnus will graduate and then they give 80 million back to the school. So now they got more teachers, they got more curriculum and all this different type stuff. So luckily I got an amazing team around me, and we called the professor at Harvard and we said, can we start this at a HBCU? And she said yes.
Well, I know that you're from North Carolina, so obviously you are doing some of that in North Carolina, but you're in Atlanta today. So What's the opportunity?
Yeah, my roots are forever in North Carolina or whatnot, but it's cool because the students that do it at A&T or whatnot during the season, like when I got an off day or something like that, I jump on there. I jump on the Zoom and I get on there with them and let them ask questions and talk. But listen, Atlanta right down the street. We would love to bring the class here. Love to bring the class here.
Well, I'm going to tell you, because you got the president of Clark Atlanta University right here. They have a school of business. I mean,
Don't say that.
do we have a deal? Do we have a deal?
We can bring the class here? Oh, say less. Oh, I shake on it. Go ahead, boss man. Yeah, respect. Yeah, we do that.
And you know, because this is going to be at Clark Atlanta University in the Atlanta University Center, we have cross enrollment. So you will not just be, it won't just be Clark Atlanta University students, it will be the students from the Atlanta University Center who will have the opportunity to take that.
Oh, that's cool. You know what's really cool about the class too is like when it's interactive, right? And like we just talked about, like y'all got a unbelievable alumni. You know, so when you have a class and you got somebody, I ain't trying to give Shaka's time or whatnot, but if you got a class like this and you got an opportunity for somebody like Shaka to come sit in front of your class and talk to your students, there's no better way to learn like that. You know what I mean? For somebody to give you some of their life experiences and tell you how they got to where they're at and different things like that. I think that's the thing that we got to start bringing to these HBCUs, you know what I mean? And not just sort of showing them a picture on the gram. Like when you can get these people in front of you and talk to you or whatnot, that's how you really educate people and get them motivated to get to where you want to get to.
Do we have more time for some more questions?
One more, Dr. Lomax, you take this last question.
Well, I mean, no, I don't want to take the last question because this is the young people in this room. So whoever gets up here to the mic first, you better move.
They on the move.
All right, he was the fastest.
They can ask both of them.
All right, we can add. We got time for more questions. A couple more questions, and I mean, this has got to be gender parity here. Women have got to have the opportunities just like the men. Okay, all right, there we go.
Good evening. My name is Taylor Partee. I'm a junior computer science major at Clark Atlanta University. I do want to let you know you said you needed a tutor, so I'm a tutor here as well. You can hit me up, give me my services.
How much you charge?
We can talk on.
All right, we'll talk about it.
But my question was, do you have any advice for like your 21-year-old self or someone like me just trying to find their way? What would you tell your 21-year-old self back then?
That's a real good question. My 21-year-old self, it's probably my second year in the NBA, right? But man, I'll tell you, my first time leaving home, like leaving North Carolina, was going to the NBA. It was crazy. My first time leaving North Carolina was going to the NBA. And so when I was younger, I really didn't understand finance like that. Like when I got to the NBA, I just wanted to play basketball, right? Like I was like, y'all gonna pay me all this money to hoop? Y'all tripping, right? And I tell you, one of the biggest things that I learned was like I still needed mentors. I think a lot of times people think when they got the money, when they the breadwinner, that they in charge, right? That's not the case. Just because you got money don't mean you know everything, right? And so when I first got to the NBA at 21, I remember even being in college, my mom had got me a credit card, right? And I didn't understand that. She used to tell me, no credit is bad credit. Because I didn't want to use a credit card. I want to use a debit card. I like seeing if I got the money, I spend it and it's gone, right? I didn't like being able to like swipe a card and then I owe somebody. I didn't like that. But I started, even though I was playing basketball, I always asked questions and I knew the importance of relationships, right? I think that's another thing too. A lot of times people act like they don't have time, but a lot of times when you in a class or you meet somebody out, and I'll just tell you something like this. When I'm out some places, even now, like say I walk across a campus or something, you know the first thing that people do? What y'all think it is? Pull out their phone, want to get me on Snap, CP, what up, what up, what up? Want to get me on Snap, right? Instead of talking to me, right? Like, introduce yourself. Let me meet you, right? You never know. I might need an intern. I might be trying to hire somebody. You know, so I think that's when, my man said, what up? But no, it's real, man. I think the importance of relationships, the importance of being present and connected. I think of all the years that I've been in the NBA, that's one of the things that I always try to focus on. So even at the age of 21, you know, because everybody probably in college always ask you, what you want to be? What you want to do? You know what I mean? And you don't have to have them answers. You don't know. But at the same time, you got to know something. You got to know what you're good at. Because when you get out of school, that's when the real world happens. That's when the real world happens. And you got bills and you got all this different type of stuff and you got to take care of. So I know I said a lot, but the one biggest thing that I would say is whatever it is you want to do is you got to grind. No, like for real, for real. Like people be like, yeah, I'm a grind. It's like people put them, y'all follow people on the gram who put stuff on their story all the time. Who be like, people put story on it, they like, wake up and go get it. And you like, man, you laying down. You ain't going nowhere. You know, that's my biggest pet peeve or whatnot, because I'm like crazy competitive. I'm crazy competitive. And that's why for me now at 36, right, I'm still going to work like it's my second year in the league. So if you got ambition to be something or want to do something, then go do it. Go do it. And don't let the 24 hours in a day stop you. You know, when somebody be like, oh, that's such and such don't start to 8. Well, I'm going to be there at 6. You know what I mean? So that'd be my biggest advice is find like a routine and stick to it. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing what you can get done if you will finish.
Yeah. Yeah, you ain't never going to want it worse than me.
That's right.
Yeah, Connect Four, tic-tac-toe.
And let me just tell you, this doesn't end because I'm 74 years old and I'm doing it every day. You know,
I thought you were trying to challenge me.
No, you got to keep doing it if you want to realize your dream.
You used to hoop?
No.
Oh, okay. I was about to find a gym. We was
No.
We was gonna line them up.
I'm an old man. Don't do that to me. But so this young man's got a question.
Good evening. My name is Malcolm Tucker. I'm a junior business administration major, and I'm a student trustee for the SGA at Morehouse College.
Oh.
You mentioned thank y'all. You mentioned the amount of money big powerhouse schools make off of college games, and with the NBA being 70% African American, do NBA players have any initiatives to support HBCU basketball programs? Whether it's scouting or promoting the games and publicizing or funding facilities?
Man, that's a good question. And at the union, we discussed some of those things, and I have to, well, it's not Michelle anymore, but there's some different things that we put in place and things that we're working on, you know what I mean? But as far as individual guys, I can't ever personally tell a guy what to do with their money, you know what I mean? But I can show them what I'm doing. And what happens at times, I remember KD hit me one time, and I think that's something that we got to work on too, is figuring out how we can pool our stuff together and figure out exactly where to put it and where for it to go.
Thank you. Now, I don't know that we're going to get to every one of those questioners, but you're going to tell me how, because I'm going to ask the last question. So you tell me when it's time for me to ask the last question.
I don't know if I know that many answers.
Hi, it's so good to see you here. Thank you. I am Jada Jenkins, a senior mass media arts major, and I also serve as the 33rd Miss Clark Atlanta University.
All right.
Thank you. So one of our mottos here at CAU is find a way or make one. So I just wanted to know, when was the last time that you found a way or made a way?
The motto is, I'll find a way or I'll make a way.
I'm only laughing because I play basketball about every day, right? So we had a game last night. We found a way and we made a way. No, like straight up, we played, who did we play last night? Who? Oh yeah, we played the Nets. We played the Nets.
How old are you?
Yeah, listen, man. We played last night. We play every other day. So we was up pretty much most of that game. But the game before that, we was losing to San Antonio. I do remember that.
Okay.
We was down 12. We was down 12 going into the fourth quarter, and we found a way to make a way. But no, seriously, even aside from that, I'd probably say more so like my kids, right? And my wife. Like they live in California, and it's been the hardest thing, right? Because while I love basketball, I love it to death, I miss my kids. You know what I mean? And so, like with kids, they at an age now too where they got other things going on. So my son, my wife and my daughter came last weekend for like 2 days because we had a game or whatnot. And my son sort of was like, "Dang, Dad, I want to come see you," but his homie had a sleepover, right? And so, no, you learn when you're a parent. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to be a kid. As bad as I want to see him, I need him to have those experiences, because if he come out there, even though I want to see him, he might resent that and be pissed that he don't get to see his friends. But my wife and my daughter still came, so we found a way and we made a way, and I still got the chance to FaceTime my son. You know what I mean? So that was cool. I'm sweating under these lights.
Yeah, okay. I think we're coming to
I ain't got nothing to do.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Radisha Grant Franklin. I am a first-year physician assistant student at Morehead School of Medicine. I'm also a Spelman College graduate.
Man, both of
My question is, with you being an athlete who has to deal with injury, would you say that there's an adequate representation of African-American medical providers that have treated you? And would you also say that there should be bigger pushes to support HBCU medical schools?
That's a really good question. You know, what's funny is I played in New Orleans my first 6 years in the league, and then I got traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. And the head trainer for the Los Angeles Clippers is a Black guy named Jason Powell, who like became part of my family. Like seriously became part of my family. I think he's been with the Clippers now for like 20 years. I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a lot of people grow up and they think that they got to be the athlete, right? That they have to be the actual athlete playing, and they don't get a chance to see the Jason Powells, I think he's back in Charlotte now, Joe, who's the head trainer for the Charlotte Hornets. You know what I mean? All these different people. So I do think there's not a huge representation of Black people, but that needs to change. It's going to have to change. And I tell you, JP, who works for the Clippers, he's always talking about trying to find an intern, right? Trying to find somebody to come in there. So yes, I think you're absolutely right. And if I knew the answer, I would tell you. And I don't know. When I hear these things, it makes me want to go right to the union and to the league and figure out how to bridge these different gaps. But I would just like to say, like, I commend you on what you're doing, and we have to do better, I guess, as a community, and making people understand that there's other avenues than just playing, right? You can be an agent. You can go into marketing. There's so many different other avenues than just playing sports.
Well, I think there's an opportunity for Clark Atlanta University to have some programs that help us understand what the pathways are into the behind-the-scenes professions in sports, and we'll follow up on some of that. If we've got a course over here, we've got nothing but talent in the Atlanta University Center. Students who are hungry for what we call experiential learning, which is another word for an internship. So they're getting a chance to test what they're learning in the classroom on the job.
Yes, sir.
So we'll work on that. Next question.
All right, we have 2 more questions for you, Mr. Paul.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jordan Hunter, and I attend Spelman College, and I'm a computer science major. I wanted to know, how do you feel like your fashion has impacted the highly recruited high school students specifically to go to HBCUs?
How has it affected it? That's a good question, but you have to ask them. You know what I mean? Seriously, because I mean, I'm heavily involved in grassroots basketball, right? So I got an AAU program. I got 12 of my kids that played in my AAU program who now play in the NBA, which is crazy. Like, I was their coach, and now I play against them. You know, so some of the guys, some of the kids I've had an opportunity to talk to, like Mikey Williams. I used to talk to Mikey pretty often. And when Mikey was trying to decide if he was going to go to a HBCU or not, I think when I talk to them, I tell them even making sure HBCU is on your list is doing something. You know what I mean? Because for years and years, you would just see, kids, oh, I'm either going to Carolina, Duke, or such and such. So even these kids understanding the importance of the HBCUs and how powerful they can be is important. And I think fashion, that's another way to tell stories, right? To tell stories. I actually did a collab with Bleacher Report this past year, which was really dope. And we got different people to collab. And Corey's in here. Corey's in here Corey's in here right here, who has been unbelievable in the things that he's done with clothing and fashion, right? With the Support Black College hoodies and stuff like that, which was so dope that the All-Star game this past year, right? So working with Corey and working with the league, we had something for every All-Star. And this year too. So when you get to All-Star weekend as an All-Star, obviously All-Star was here last year, right? I ain't tripping. Yeah, it was here last year. It's in Cleveland this year. But I'll never forget last year when I got here to Atlanta, and when you get to All-Star, everybody comes into the hotel, they give you these big duffel bags of goodies, and every All-Star last year got a Support Black College hoodie with a number and a name on it. So shout out to Corey for that.
Last question. Then I have to ask a question.
My name is Tim Parham, University of Maryland Eastern Shore class of 2006, HBCU guy, developer at NBA 2K, and wanted to, and I actually played with you for a summertime in 2014, the Clippers facility and all that.
Yeah, when we was playing pickup games.
For sure.
Yep.
So I actually wanted to thank you because you gave, we playing some real competitive games. Everybody come up there, we playing, and you gave me a really good reference, and it ended up getting me in the summer league the next year. And I never got to thank you because I went back overseas.
Dang.
So yeah, so
Respect.
I appreciate you.
No doubt.
And my man Corey too, that's my guy. Like I said, I'm a developer at 2K now, and I was we worked together, and we got Support Black
2K.
Colleges. Yeah. Me and him worked together to get that on there. Just we HBCU guys. So just wanted to thank you. I'll be at the game tomorrow, and much love. So, salute.
Man,
always.
that's dope. Good to see you too, man. That's dope. When I was younger, I used to play video games a lot more than now. I was actually on the cover of 2K8, which that sounds, some of y'all probably weren't even born then. But I was on the cover of 2K8. But I tell you this, and my son is a 2K junkie. And I never forget when I came in the room one day and I looked at his creative player. I walked in there and he was, what's it called? The park? Something like that. You play in the park. But now you wear whatever you want to when you're on 2K. And my son, his creative player had on a Support Black Colleges hoodie. I was tripping. So yeah, it shows you how all that stuff comes full circle.
Well, we're closing out, and I've got one final question, which I've been told I must ask, and it's the right question to ask. So tell me how people like me, Clark Atlanta University President Dr. French, and his other AU Center colleagues can get more support from the elite athletes of our time, men and women like you, to invest in their resources and energy into these great institutions. Give us a game plan.
Yes, my game plan to get people more involved or to get them to have action, and what I've seen over the years, and like I said, being the president of the union gave me a great idea of what guys need to make actions happen. So what you almost need to do is to be very specific, right? So when people are very broad and they man, the HBCUs they need help. They need help. I think because you think about these athletes or entertainers, whoever it may be, to get to where they're at, they're very focused, right? They're very focused, and we're competitive and we like to attack something. So if you're very broad and you say man, these HBCUs need help, then guys, girls, women, whoever it may be, they're going to say, what can I do?
right? Now, if you go to them and say, this is what we need, this is how much we need, and this is what it's going to do, right? Then I think you get a lot more engagement or whatnot from people, right? It's just like when you're doing a fundraiser, whatever it is, you know, even if it's kids that come up and they want you to buy a candy bar, you know, a lot of times you engage, you ask, you know, where is this going to, right? Like, where is it going to? So I think that would be where I would start at is, you know, try to figure out what the central problem is at a particular university or these different schools and say, this is a number that we need, right? And then guys and ladies can go from there and figure out how to really start affecting change. I think when it's too broad, people don't know where to go or what to do. But that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I think it's great, you know, if you're a college president, you are a development officer, you are a fundraiser. And I think, you know, it's always great to ask the donor, what's the best way to do it? You've given us great guidance and advice, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Chris, I thoroughly have enjoyed tonight's conversation. It's really been like a classroom. And I like this kind of classroom. I hope the students have enjoyed this kind of classroom where there's a lot of student participation. It has really been great getting to know you and know you better. As soon as our program ends, leaders from each of the institutions are going to come up here and give you a little bit of swag. And so you'll have something to remember us by. What drives you, Chris, is no different from what propels every HBCU student across this country, a desire to achieve personal excellence, as well as improve their families and their communities. I hope each of you who is in this audience tonight and viewing this by live streaming, I hope each of you have enjoyed tonight's discussion also. And now, if you are students, let me remind you to go to uncf.org as soon as possible. We have over 400 scholarships and programs, and nothing helps a student to and through college better than a scholarship. If you are a graduate or someone who believes in HBCUs, you too can be a philanthropist. You don't have to be a person of great wealth to be a philanthropist. All you have to do is have a generous commitment to helping others. And so you go to uncf.org and you can make a contribution. We had 190,000 donors last year to UNCF, and we raised $250 million last year. We expect to raise over $200 million this year. So we need all of you to go. And when you support us, you are helping 37 HBCUs like those that are represented here this evening, are Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse Spelman, the Interdenominational Theological Center. And you're helping great institutions like the Morehouse School of Medicine and Morris Brown College. So this has been a great evening. And I want to thank you again for the generosity of your time and your, this has been, you're a great teacher. I tell you, you got a profession after you leave this profession. You can be a teacher anywhere and always. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Chris Paul. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate this.